hello, I'm glad to see you again today. Did you get your favorite beverage of choice and made yourself comfortable? Great, because in this episode we do something special. It's kind of a follow episode to our top 10 PlayStation 1 game episode. In that episode I talked about so many games that I have played back then on the PlayStation 1 in the late 90s. And there are so many games I haven't played on this console. So this is my top 10 PlayStation 1 games I'm looking forward to play, that I wanted to play for years now, and yeah, I can't wait to finally play them. I haven't played these games, so yeah, this is my top 10 PlayStation 1 games that I haven't played. Let's start with a game that you have heard in our top 10 list as an honorable mention. Parasite Eve 2 was a game that I played back then. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to replay that because back then I didn't get it so much, but I think it's a great game. So I haven't played Parasite Eve 1. This is one game that I'm looking forward to play, and lots of these games on the list today I downloaded on the PSP before the shop closed a couple months ago, so I have them digitally. Lots of these games are quite expensive nowadays if you want to get a physical version. If I like these games, I guess I will end up buying them for the PlayStation 1 in physical form. But so far, I have almost all of these games digitally on the PSP, and yeah, I can't wait to play them. Next up is a game, Breath of Fire 4. I have 3 and 4 on the PSP downloaded. I can't wait to play them. Breath of Fire, I'm a big RPG fan, and my best buddy back then played these games, and I had a look over his shoulder and watched him playing them, and they looked great. I haven't played them myself, but yeah, these are games, Breath of Fire 3 and especially 4, that I'm looking forward to. I think this is a series which isn't ongoing currently. Unfortunately, there's no Breath of Fire 5 or 6, not as far as I know. But yeah, I wish they would get these older IPs, these PlayStation IPs or Sega IPs, don't get me started, and to continue them because they were so awesome. Next up, by the way, this is not in any particular order, but next up we have Grandia 1 on the PlayStation. There's a Grandia 1 and 2 HD remaster on the Switch. I would love to get that. I think I will in the future, but it's quite expensive. It's around 100 euros here. But yeah, I downloaded it on the PSP and I can't wait to play it. Again, I love RPGs, but I have to do a lot of catching up on these, and Grandia is a game that looks right up my alley. It looks so gorgeous, and especially the second one, but the first one on the PlayStation is my pick here. I can't wait to play this. Let me know if any of these games are games that you would pick for your top 10, or if these games are games that you like and enjoyed, and what games you still have to play on the PlayStation. That would be awesome to find out. Next up, I'm reading off the list here if you're wondering. Next up is the Legend of Dragoon. This is a game my wife played back then, and it's in the same manner of Final Fantasy 7 and 8, and she loved this back then. She still wants to have that game in physical form on the PlayStation, so I think I will get this in the future. And what I have seen so far, screenshots, and what I have heard from my wife, this looks like a game that I'm going to love. It's an RPG, it's in the style of Final Fantasy, so The Legend of Dragoon is a game that I'm looking forward to play. Next up here on my list is Xenogears. And I love the Xenoblade Chronicles series, so Xenogears is a game, one of the first, I think the first game on the PlayStation in the Xenogears franchise. And I love, again, the Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 and X games. I love them so much. They're one of my favorite RPGs ever. So Xenogears, or Xenogears, whatever you want to call it, looks so awesome. I've seen screenshots, and it's in almost all of the top RPG lists there. And since I like the Xenoblade Chronicles games, yeah, I can't wait to play Xenogears. It's all also downloaded on my PSP. By the way, I spent like a big amount of money on the PSP before the shop closed, and I was kind of anxious because I couldn't buy it with a credit card, so I had to get all these codes to redeem, and I spent a lot of money in these codes, and then I had to redeem them, and the first code didn't work, and I was kind of afraid, oh no, did I spend all this money on these codes, and the shop already closed, and I was kind of anxious, but in the end everything worked out, and I downloaded around 20 games or something like that. Yeah, all these games that are quite expensive, but that I absolutely would love to play, because you always hear about these games. So next up is a game, Chrono Cross. I haven't played Chrono Trigger at all. I have it here on my Nintendo DS. It's still sealed. I'm quite nervous to open it because I bought it for a normal package price back then, but the prices went up so high, so I'm thinking about getting a loose copy and playing this game on the DS, because the DS version of Chrono Trigger is supposed to be one of the best, or the best version. But even the loose copies for the DS Chrono Trigger are so expensive. So yeah, I'm not a sealed collector, and I get the notion of people say something like, hey, games are there for playing, so just unseal it and play it. So yeah, I guess I will do this, but it will kind of be tough to open my my Chrono Trigger copy. But Chrono Cross is the sequel on the PlayStation. I don't know anything about these games, by the way. I never try to spoil anything. I only watch screenshots and listen to people who don't spoil anything and talk about these games. But Chrono Cross, I don't know a lot. I just know that people love Chrono Trigger. I love RPGs. I haven't played Chrono Trigger. I know, shame on me. I will absolutely catch up on that. But yeah, Chrono Cross is on my list here for the PlayStation 1 games I have to play. I don't have a copy of this. It wasn't available to download on the PSP, so yeah, I still don't know how to get this, but yeah, I will try to find out in the future. Another game, Final Fantasy Tactics. I love Final Fantasy. There are lots of Final Fantasy games. Also Final Fantasy 9. These two Final Fantasy games I haven't played so far. I hear a lot of people talking about these games and naming them under one of the best RPGs ever, not only on the PlayStation. So yeah, I definitely will catch up on them. But especially Final Fantasy Tactics. I have this one on the PSP downloaded because the physical copy is just ridiculously expensive. But I have a physical copy of Final Fantasy 9. My wife got this for me for my birthday last year, and yeah, I can't wait to play this. Another one is Vagrant Story. It's another RPG I haven't played. It looks awesome. I downloaded it on the PSP, and yeah, lots of people put this really high up in their best RPGs of all time list. So yeah, I didn't know anything about this game back in the day. Almost all the other games I heard of, or I've seen, or I had to decide, do I get Resident Evil 3 or Final Fantasy 9 or something like that? Back then, you had to decide. You didn't have all the money in the world as a teenager. So this is mostly the reason why I haven't played these games. But yeah, I don't know a lot about Vagrant Story. I just stumbled upon this game in the later years, in the digital age, online, and yeah, I'm quite excited to find out more about this game. I downloaded it on the PSP again. It looks great, what I've seen so far. Another one is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I haven't played any Castlevania games, but this is a game like Vagrant Story I stumble upon frequently online. People are talking about this game. It looks awesome, but I think first off I have to play Super Castlevania, at least Super Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo. I have the Super Nintendo Mini, so I could play that. I also have the Nintendo Mini, so I could play the older Castlevania games. So I have to do a lot of catching up here. But Castlevania Symphony of the Night is a game. It's ridiculously expensive as physical copy. Fortunately, I could download it on the PSP, and yeah, I'm looking forward to play that. It's the same story basically with every game, but yeah, these are all the games on my almost place one, you could say, the last game here today of PlayStation games I haven't played so far, but I absolutely would love to play is Silent Hill. I haven't played any Silent Hill games so far. Back then I followed it. I knew that there was a sequel and a third game and a fourth game, and then I kind of lost track, and I always wanted to play it. But again, there always was the decision, which game do you buy? I think back then it was either GTA 2 or Silent Hill, and I was back then I already played the 2 Dino Crisis games, the 3 Resident Evil games, Parasite Eve 2, so I played a lot of horror games and tank control games, so I wanted to play something different. I think it was GTA 2, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, you had to decide back then, and then I kind of lost track over the years, and now I absolutely would love to play Silent Hill. The physical version is affordable. I think it's around €50 here in this area in Europe, but I downloaded it digitally on the PSP. I'm not a fan of digital games, by the way. I'm not a fan at all, but these are all the games that you hear so much about, and before I want to spend so much money to get the physical copies, I want to try them out and play them, and they all were around like €10, which is totally fine for these classic games. So yeah, there you have it. This is my list of PlayStation 1 games I would love to play. I haven't had the chance to play so far. Let me know if you like these games, if you know these games, which are your favorites. Would you put them into your top 10 PlayStation 1 games? Again, this is a follow-up video to our top 10 PlayStation 1 games video or episode. And yeah, that's it for this episode. I really hope you enjoyed this. Again, there are so many video games, it's just so much time, and you always have to decide. But I love to have a backlog. I love to have all these to explore all these awesome games that people love for decades now, and you haven't played them, and you know there's games like Chrono Trigger, which people say it's the best RPG ever, and I love RPGs, but I haven't played it so far. But that's something that excites me every morning when I stand up. There are so many games out there to play still. Even if they would stop doing games just right now and there will be no more new games, there's so much to explore, and I don't know how people do this, playing so many games because I play games almost every day. But yeah, it's quite hard, the management. But yeah, I'm drifting off here. I'm digressing. Thank you so much for watching. I see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.